Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Round number 8 is about to begin, where the world champion is facing Laurent Fressinet. He's gonna be looking to add a full point, but he has the black pieces, so it won't be all that easy. What other pairings do we have?
We have Nakamura with white against Levon Aronian. Giri is white against Wesley So. Kramnik white against Fabiano Caruana. And Topalov playing white against MVL.
Any game you're looking forward to?
All of it is reasonably interesting, and with 2 rounds to go, it does feel like it will be Carlsen against Nakamura for the top of the leaderboard before the Blitz. But still, you know, if one or both of them make a misstep somewhere, it could heat up for the last round, which would be, you know, good for the general, you know, intrigue in the tournament. But with 18
Even
rounds,
a good old-fashioned Carlsen Nakamura race, I'm looking forward to. Looks like Magnus is getting a little tired, but it's only 4 games today, so the players should match.
yeah, today is definitely an easier day for them than yesterday was, and you do have to remember that they need to preserve some energy for 18 Blitz games they will have to play over the course of the weekend. So
Yeah, but still 9 games of Blitz per day shouldn't be that much. The schedule was a little dragged out with like 15-minute breaks between Blitz games. I'm not sure. It's going to be a lot of hours, but I don't think he's worried about that. After a good night's sleep.
yeah, I'm not sure if they're
Yeah.
going to stick to the schedule they announced on the official website, because a Blitz game followed by a 20-minute break does feel like
Breaks your rhythm.
yeah. In a huge Blitz tournaments such as the World Blitz Championship with a Swiss of 200 players, you can understand it because you need to recheck the results, make pairings, announce the pairings and all that. But in a closed round, in a round-robin tournament of 10 players, you really, I don't think, need breaks of that length. Not that it's, you know, any of my business.
Keep rolling. Nakamura Aronian. That's going to be interesting. Levon, after winning that last game, doesn't take much to keep him going. He historically has a pretty good score against Hikaru Nakamura. Maybe slightly less recently, but he's still normally doing well against Hikaru. So it's going to be one to look forward to.
And obviously their last encounter was the 2 games they played in Moscow during the candidates, one of which featured the infamous touch move incident.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Do you think that's a culture thing, by the way? Because I believe Americans, they grow up without touch move, at least playing Blitz. While over here, touch move is quite strict. We can discuss it later because we got moves and the players are touching their pieces. Where do we go first? Let's go here. D4, knight f6, knight f3.
Yeah, I think Fress will probably try and get something solid. Something heavily theoretical would also probably be favored because he is quite booked up, and against Magnus, if he can make a number of moves without thinking and get to a position he knows quite well, it would be good to him, but for him. But
Magnus is aware of all that. That's why he's thinking here. What goofy thing can I do to pose Fress problems early on?
B5.
That's too goofy.
It's not that bad a move actually in this position. It's even better if you play e6 and wait for g3 before playing b5, obviously.
Of course.
But even here, it's not entirely unplayable.
What else do you want for b5 happening in this position?
What do you mean?
I'll give you odds, like 3-1.
Odds. Sorry. No, I think 3-1 is not sufficient for me. I don't think b5 is happening.
Try.
But,
what does Magnus normally do? His normal repertoire will probably be to go d5, and then semi-Slav Ragozin, Queen's Gambit declined.
Either d5 or e6 are probably his main 2 moves in this position. He doesn't really play too many openings with the fianchetto bishop, so I don't really expect g6.
He's capable, of course. He's played the
No,
Grunfeld
yes.
on occasion.
Sure, no,
He's even played the King's Indian.
He's played everything on occasion, but yeah, I don't really expect it to happen somehow. And yeah, we'll see. It's a bit of a longish pause for a second move of a game, but when you play somebody who you've worked with extensively, it is
And he
always
goes e6.
it is always a little bit tricky to pick an opening.
No drama yet. c4 is the move you would expect from Laurent. No reason for him to get all fancy. We'll see what Magnus chooses. Could be anything. Could be the check, could be b6, could be d5,
Yeah,
could be
there's
c5.
plenty of options here.
I wanna find out.
A very sharp Rogozin in a game between two theoreticians. Giri saw. I think both players are aiming for some kind of a similar line, judging by the speed of play. I'm not
I've
quite
never
sure.
seen this. Is this theory?
I've no idea, but they're playing very, very fast, which kind
Theory
of
to them.
tends to indicate that, yeah, at least it's theory. It's theory to them. We've seen this Queen A4 check already once, but after E3 castles, Giri doesn't play Queen C2 here. Plays Bishop D2, takes, Bishop D6 anyway. Queen C2 now. It's a very similar line to what we.
Yeah, instead of H3 and A3, you got Bishop D2 here.
And here it's quite obvious that White is aiming for some kind of long castles, and well, not necessarily, but it's definitely an option, and it's a very heavily indicated by the early Bishop D2. Yeah, and in this position, F4.
I might have seen this.
I think, yeah, but I don't remember where. Yeah, takes, Knight G4, blitzed out by Wesley. Bishop D4, renewing the idea of castling long, and now C5. I think the idea is once again to take the D1 square under control, and now he goes Rook E8 only here, because long castles is once again not a legal move to make. You can play short castles, but I guess he maybe just takes on E3 twice and thinks he's fine.
Yeah, maybe he's throwing Queen H4, not sure. Well, then G3.
Knight E3, there is Bishop takes, no, Bishop F7 doesn't work, there's Queen D5 there.
Queen C7 maybe. Anyway, Wesley has computerized this for sure, and he believes this is tenable.
But Anish is also blitzing still, so yeah, it does feel definitely like both of them have looked at this in detail, and maybe they disagree on the assessment, maybe they even agree on the assessment, but Anish is just checking whether Wesley knows everything to the end.
Let's switch to the man on camera, Big Vlad, against, we can't call him Little Fab, that would sound disrespectful, but he does look tiny in this angle at least, compared to Vladimir Kramnik. And it's a line both of those guys like to discuss. Not the first time they do this. Kramnik keeps changing his 6th and 7th move here. C4 castles, he's done everything. Here he's done everything. C3, Knight E5, Bishop F4, you name it, he's played
No,
it.
it's a slightly different move order though, because Black normally doesn't play C6 this early.
Well, the point of this, in this particular move order, is by going C6 here, you sort of discourage C4. C4 is a move
very heavily, because I think you can actually take here.
Well, there's theory here, like Knight A3, B5 takes, Knight H4, I believe. Like, funny stuff, but that's a discussion for another game. And yeah, the normal reaction is to not go C4, but instead try to use the fact that Black is committed to C6 by doing something. And E6 is sort of out of the ordinary here, I believe. Bishop F5 or A5 are more popular
Bishop
moves.
F5 would transpose almost precisely to the game Fab had against Laurent Fressinet in this tournament, which he ended up losing. We felt he misplayed the opening a little bit there and ended up in a rook endgame, which maybe was holdable to begin with, but ended up being quite bad.
He went A5 at some
early
juncture.
Something like this. The precise move order eludes me as well, but it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, they got to this position.
This time around, he chooses a humble-looking setup, and this setup, I'm not sure, his specialty might be a bit much, but I know his trainer, Rustam Kazimchanov, he enjoys playing the semi-Slav with the Fianchetto bishop in different move orders, and that is what this sort of comes down to. You play the setup against pretty much everything.
Yeah.
D6, Bishop B7, Knight B7.
I've had the occasion to play with White against this setup, but I was very confused as to what I should be doing in this position, because it does feel like it's very slow from Black, but on the other hand, it's tremendously solid.
It's hard to punish. You don't know. Do you want to go for a E4 or like what
and also a weird comparison came to mind just now, because 960 sort of disappeared off the radar a little bit with the sad demise of the Mainz tournaments. But when I used to play 960 quite actively for a while, because I was lucky enough to win the first Open tournament.
Also known as Fischer Random Chess, in case you're confused.
Yes, and then I played a number of matches, because by winning the first Open, I got to what was then somewhat ambitiously called the World Championship of Chess 960, and I was the title holder for a while there. And in my experience with 960, if you got the position with the bishops on A1 and H1, against bishops on a8 and h8, they tended to become very symmetrical and very dry. And here as well, white probably has like an extra tempo, maybe like he starts with half a tempo in the starting position, and maybe because black played e6, which is not necessarily the move he wants to make everywhere, and there's a pawn on c4 against a pawn on c6. You should like white here, but because because of the two pairs of Fianchettoed bishops, it's very difficult to prove you're actually much better.
Gotta prove it. It looks like Kramnik did go for e4. He's not messing around, not wasting any time. We'll see what Fabi does. He's not in time to free himself with c5.
Is he not? Why? 96 might be a move, but just
bother me, but maybe it's nothing.
Just bishop c6, maybe. G takes. Do you need to take? Maybe not. Yeah. 95 is 95. But then I take on g2 and play queen c7, maybe.
Not even sure I have any threat.
Yeah, it does feel like this might fizzle out quite easily for white. So
we'll see. Interesting opening choice by Fabiano. Let's go to Fressinet versus Carlsen Senior. That's Carlsen Junior, if anything. This is a bit of a specialty of his as well, in early a6, but against e3, which was chosen by Laurent, it's actually one of the main lines. I've played this position.
Yeah, it's definitely quite decent here.
Yeah, b3, one of the main moves. I like knight b2, but hard to argue. Laurent's choice, cd5. If black goes ed5, he tends to end up, in my opinion, slightly worse, but you get your typical IQP position, and Magnus decides to capture with a knight, which is more solid. But now, sometimes you get these symmetrical structures where white has a tiny bit of an initiative.
I'm not actually sure it is white who, in the position they have on the, I'm not talking about the entire variation, but what they have on the board right now, I feel already could potentially slightly favor black.
Yeah, you could argue about, I don't know, bishop b2, then he was probably worried about getting an early check.
Yeah, so he went with bishop b2 and castles, and now takes and bishop b7 was played by Magnus. Bishop b2 is quite obviously a required move here, bishop f6, queen g2. And Magnus played bishop d7, and I think if e3 e4 is not good here, and black can, for instance, reply to it by knight f4 even without taking on b2. If you give black a move to play bishop c6, you definitely pick black, no? Because knight on b1.
Can we get rid of all the pieces? We're not overly ambitious. Or is queen a5 an issue here?
Maybe you can, though. Yeah, maybe this is the
bishop c6, knight d5. It's a draw. But queen a5, I was a little curious what's happening.
Rook, we start by rook c1, but then rook c8, yeah?
Yeah, just keep asking questions.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It seems a very level, symmetrical position, but with the knight on b1 against the knight on d5, so...
Let's develop it then.
Yeah, maybe knight a3, knight c4 is good enough.
Thinking bishop c6, b5, but it looks a little overzealous.
Yeah, bishop c6, I don't know, knight c4. I was trying to make knight f4 work.
Not going to be able to do it.
Knight d6 check, yeah. Regrettable. Black is not losing there though, but yeah, it's not good. But yeah, maybe I was over pessimistic there. I felt like
a3. Can you go b5, or is that pushing it?
No, I think it's possible. But now bishop f3, rook a c1 gains in strength, obviously, because you want to play bishop c6 and you want the bishop on c6 to be as well supported as possible. So on general grounds, you don't want to play b5 here.
No, philosophically, Frass hasn't committed any grave sins, so why should it be worse with white?
No, worse is strong, but you know.
Let's switch to Levant. This also looks vaguely familiar. Well, the structure does. Let's see how they got there. This is following a recent Carlsen-Topalov game.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh no, there was without e3 and Wesseling went g3.
Yeah, that would. If you mean the Norway chess, yeah, that was slightly different.
Well, now, yeah, you have a version of this thing where black is a tempo up compared to the normal line, which is something like bishop g5, let's say c6, e3, bishop e7,
queen
c2, knight h5.
Yeah.
So it can't be very threatening theoretically. Still, you get to play this particular structure, which is, of course, full of life. But with an extra tempo, I don't think black is in any danger.
You know, I think black is reasonably comfortable here, and the position they have on the board right now, you probably pick white, but
All of this is fairly standard maneuvering. Also rook c8, hinting at c5 if white gets too ambitious with his.
he actually
jumps.
did play c5 more or less straight away, knight b3, knight d7, and he pushed c5 here.
Not forced, but yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. And more light pieces came off after knight c4. Hikaru decided to get rid of that knight, and yeah, you probably pick white a little bit because
I'm surprised he went for both c5 and knight c4 so early, because here I don't know, but if you get some construction with queen c3 or whatever, bishop here f3.
bishop d7 f3 is what is on the board there, and yeah, black left played f5. I kind of expected this pawn to stay on f6, to be honest, but
He wants to stop e4, but
yeah, I
there's
guess he
also-
wants to restructure his pieces in a slightly different fashion, maybe rook on e5. But yeah, it's you play. I wanted to say you play a3, but that actually invites bishop a4. I'm not sure you want to play a3.
I want to go g4, but that might be too slow after rook e5.
Rook e5, rook h1.
Rook e8.
Not sure about this, but
You have to calculate knight f5, of course, and things of that nature. By you
probably ends up completely level. Even takes and take on f5 if I want. If I don't want to calculate this rook d8 check line, which also seems fine for black.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And then again, only white can win.
Oh no, this is unpleasant. I forgot about rook e8 altogether. But you can take on f5 instead. e4 and put it somewhere. f7. Should be reasonably balanced.
Yeah.
There's still some games we haven't discussed at all, so let's not get too carried away about this.
How many games can there be we haven't discussed at all? One max.
Yeah.
And that is Max's game against Vaseline Topalov. I'm trying to count the pawns. If pawns are equal, then I think black is fine. Pawns seem to be equal. White can take here. But is that pleasure gonna last? Knight c5?
Knight c5, I guess, would be the most obvious reply here. Rook a8 is also possible, but you wanna play knight c5 and win the pawn on e4, and then your bishop's
great should get punished, right?
Knight takes c4. Rook a8 first also makes sense, but I'm not sure you need to do this. Yeah, knight e4 here as well.
Too active.
No, white should never be better here in any of these variations, because the bishop, I mean, black controls the entire board and only have to sacrifice one pawn for it.
But yeah, if white can't take on d6, then I believe black is very comfortable. Knight c5 is coming no matter what. Looks like MVL is fine.
Bishop g5 is what Veselin settled on. I think it's very sensible not to commit to any forcing variations just yet. Pin the knight on f6, and if you start chasing this bishop around, it actually lands on g3, which is a good square, attacking the pawn on d6 again. Quite like this for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sensible choice. Black could still go knight c5 in the position they have on the board right now. I think it's a reasonable reply.
Let's try to find those guys. That's
Nope.
not them, but we'll close in on them eventually. There we have Veselin smelling his way through the position. Not sure why I said that, but I can only see his nose. h6 has been played.
Yeah, including h6, bishop h4 is always fine, but you probably don't want to play g5 without finding a concrete justification for it.
Many candidates, knight e5 could be a move.
Knight
as well.
knight e5 is a move. Knight c5 is definitely a move. I think now that you can play g5 after rook takes d6, it becomes much more of a candidate. Including h6 and bishop h4 makes a lot of sense in this respect, because you put a lot of pressure on the e4 pawn here.
Yeah, interesting. I was wondering if I can bail out with this, but not sure how happy I'd be about my bailout results.
Pretty unhappy, I think.
Yeah. It's now g5.
Even g5, bishop h5, or bishop, sorry, knight f5, or knight f4 as well. Yeah, you'll have to go rook b4 and pray.
Feels very clumsy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It seems like MVL has more active possibilities to work with. He's played knight c5.
Yeah, as expected, and yeah, you need to assess your options very carefully here because g5 is a threat. g5 followed by knight takes e4 is a huge threat here for black.
Let's try simplifying.
I don't think this will work out well for white. There's I mean, bishop c3 probably equalizes easily, but
Sure.
you want more. Yeah,
equalize.
I would like to have more here as black. Rook d8. You probably need to take because e5 bishop e5 just loses. I mean, I don't see.
Just doesn't work. Yeah.
Rook d8, rook d8. You probably play queen e2 or queen e1. Maybe is a slightly better move.
No, black can always recapture the pawn. I just wasn't sure if he has anything more than that.
Yeah, it feels like black will always equalize if he wants to, but I'm not sure white has committed enough crimes here to be worse. We'll see.
We'll see. Let's
But
go back to the...
it does feel like Veselin should go into some kind of damage limitation mode.
Let's go back to Magnus Carlsen. I have a feeling, I could be wrong about this, but I have a feeling that Laurent might have blundered this knight f4 idea.
Or at least severely underestimated it.
Played rook d1, which feels less essential than getting the knight out somehow.
Yeah, I think he thought bishop 6 will be quite well met by e4, but now he realizes that the point is, I think queen f4 just bishop takes b2, rook d8, and the rook on a1 gets lost, and black is strategically winning.
Yeah, with the two bishops and the two rooks, if white doesn't have anything immediate, which doesn't seem like.
If there's no immediate refutation, which I don't think there is, black should be, as I said, close to completely winning with the structure and the two bishops against the bishop and knight.
So you decide to take on d8 instead, I guess.
Yeah,
Rook
he will have to take
rook
again.
Takes, and then we have to decide how to recapture. I'll go king takes at first.
Yeah, but then takes bishop f3. You already pick black, but I'm not sure how bad this actually is.
You're on time to develop at least.
Yeah. King e7, knight c3, rook d8. I mean, it's definitely black is the side which is the more comfortable one. But after rook d1, you feel like white probably should scrape enough for a draw here.
Yeah, if black is not on time to jump immediately and grab a pawn.
And Magnus probably agrees with us because he played bishop takes d8, and white didn't
Without rook d8? Or
yeah, he played no, including but without. Not he didn't take with the king. He took with the bishop, and Fres did not play bishop f3, which is very surprising.
Well, that's knight c3. What did
He played bishop f1, which I don't really understand because why? I think bishop e4. Does he want to go f3? No.
f3. There's a check here, which looks.
No, this looks horrible.
Or just go somewhere.
Yeah, I really don't understand bishop f1. Maybe after bishop f3, bishop b6 was very strong though. Maybe that was the reason.
Just messing around, but it looks fairly unpleasant.
No, but I think I understand why this happened, because if you play bishop f3, after bishop b6, knight d3 is a huge threat. But still, I mean, actually, maybe this is kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Take on g7, rook g8, bishop h6, there's knight takes g2. This looks kind of bad for white, actually. But this only...
About this, but it's also not pleasant side, even bishop f2 is possible.
This kind of reinforces my original point that...
no, you missed knight f4, of course.
You'll... It should be equal, but it's white who has to be careful already after bishop d7.
I didn't like rook d1, I think, yeah. He calculated, of course, bishop c6 is coming on e4.
Yeah, I think he missed knight f4, and his position by this point is already maybe slightly critical, maybe even more than slightly. Yeah, bishop f1 and bishop e4 is on the board, knight d2 on bishop c6. Black is just a healthy pawn up. It's going to be an uphill struggle for Fres here.
Let's try to find Fres.
He can play g3 and force the knight to go to h5 probably.
But g3.
But I mean, knight h5 is just one tempo, so it's not really an issue.
Magnus likes pawns.
Who doesn't? I mean,
some people that feel they're just standing in the way, doing nothing, blocking open files.
He played at g3 and a move later. Knight d2, bishop c6 first. And g3. And Magnus played bishop f6, which is a cute way not to even go to h5.
Oh, sneaky.
Yeah. It does spoil black structure on the king side a little bit, but it's still a healthy extra pawn. So.
Yeah, it's going to make it slightly harder to convert and create a pass pawn. Pieces are so nice with the knight on d5, king e7. Very hard to bet against Magnus in such a situation.
I think you take Magnus against anyone here. I mean, he's a huge favorite to convert this. In Hikaru's game, there's been a lot and a great deal of simplification. Yeah, that's the one up top. He's been thinking about this for a while. I wonder if he wants to take with the queen and why.
I believe he's considering both options. And
queen g3 rook e5. Yeah, queen g3 rook e5 would be probably the least advisable of his possible moves here.
What's going on here?
The rook endgame could be unpleasant for black.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So you probably avoid it because here you can't. I don't know.
Yeah, king c2, and yeah, it's probably still closer to a draw than anything. But yeah, you don't really want to subject yourself to that. But
if you go somewhere, queen f6.
He's taken with the rook finally, because I guess he figures that he can get this queen rook endgame. In most cases, queen d7, g4. He will at some point include a3, king a2. Should happen reasonably fast, I think, because he needs to secure his king position. a6, a3, as expected.
Yeah, and everyone should hold, but it's not so pleasant, right?
It's still slightly better for white. But yeah, the problem for white is that it's very difficult to win this position without moving the queen from c3. And once it moves, black will have a lot of counterplay connected with c4, c3.
So what do you just wait?
King a8, yeah. King a8, h6. You make all of the waiting moves, and then you ask white, okay, so how do you make any progress? I'm not sure about h6 though, because rook e6, g6 becomes part of the agenda. Maybe keep it on h7. King a8, king a2, yeah, and
you can also go whatever, queen f7.
Even queen d5, to be honest. You don't really want to take on g7 and let this pawn reach d2. I mean c2, sorry. This might be just lost for white.
Should end peacefully. Let's go back to Magnus for a second, but yeah. They have this on the board, rook c1. Sooner or later he's going to move this knight.
No, this is actually a problem. I think he blundered this, because bishop a6 is a threat, and if he goes if he passes, rook takes c6 is a bit of a problem.
Oh.
I think he got a bit too cute there.
Bishop f6, yeah?
Yeah, he's
shaking his head.
He's completely disgusted with himself. You can see it in his face.
He goes here and here. Can we still?
There's rook a1 in the end. No, I think he just forgot about rook c1, and now he's sitting there thinking, I was given a pawn.
Why didn't I go knight h5?
Yeah, I think he needs to allow rook takes c6, and this is what he's done. He's played king d7, and he is asking Fres if do you want to take on c6 and play, because the king is on g1, which is very relevant. Rook takes, king takes, gf, rook d8. Objectively, this should be fine for white, but black still doesn't really risk anything here. Rook d1, a1, there's a lot of play on the queen side. And anyway, it's way better in terms of creating an imbalanced position than allowing bishop takes a6. So
still gotta go for this. If you're white, you don't want to sit around.
There's also knight c4, a5, but I think it's too slow. Knight g5, knight a5, rook c8 preserves the queen side. Also knight e7, but I think rook c8 is the simplest way to go about things. So yeah, I think you're kind of forced to take on c6 and play this endgame.
Yeah.
But considering the position he could have had after knight h5, Fres should be extremely happy about these developments.
Yeah, you don't need a doctorate in face reading from Trump University to see that Magnus is not thrilled with himself, but he might still win.
Yeah, rook c6 has been played by Fres. King takes will happen, gf, and probably rook d8. And I think you have to play knight.
Check.
Yeah, I'm not sure you need to drive the bishop to g2. Although maybe check king g2, king c5, and go with the king to a3. b5, king before king.
Sorry.
Bless you. This might be a half decent idea. Although knight e4, knight takes f6 is.
Yeah, feels like we're giving white too many jumps.
Yeah, doesn't feel quite right somehow.
So, bit of a development there, and yeah, Magnus kicking himself for not just going at it.
Even here, actually, after rook c1, it's a bit awkward. It wasn't as winning as we originally thought.
Is it? Bishop d5, let's see.
I don't know. Maybe yeah. I thought rook c8 is annoying, but maybe it's just nothing. King d7, rook e8, and then bishop goes somewhere, I guess. Yeah, rook e8. Bishop g2, bishop anywhere, c7, b6.
Pawn up.
Yeah, is a full pawn up. So.
Anyway, let's switch to the man on the screen, Vladimir Kramnik. Where?
Yeah, I'm a bit curious about all these developments, because Black could actually play c6, c5 somewhat earlier. There was an option for Fabi to play c5. For instance,
we were discussing it here.
Yeah, but I can understand why he chose to wait for a bit. He played queen c7, the knight landed on e5 and got traded off by knight d7. All of this is perfectly natural. Takes. Both players doubled on the d file. And let's say in this position, you can play c5 here. Did he not do it because of d5? Maybe he didn't like d5. Yeah, bishop b2, queen b2, ed, cd, I guess. Maybe he felt that the bishop on b7 is too passive here, but how tragic is this here? Rook d6, bring the queen over to f6.
Looks
if you're allowed,
tenable.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe rook e1 is strong, queen e5.
No, I can understand that he wasn't comfortable here. But what he's doing now?
Well, he actually managed to land his queen on a6 and after c5. I mean, the structure is very, very rigid, but Black's pieces are so horrible. This bishop on b7 is dead. The queen on a6 will have to... I mean, rook a1, a4 comes very fast here. I think you kind of need to go bishop c8, rook a1, queen b7, a4, a6, but you are blundering the d4 pawn, but with the queen on a6, I'm not sure you can take. I think this might be risky. Maybe not.
This looks possible, doesn't it?
It does look possible, yeah. So maybe it's not as critical as I was trying to make out.
Still scary.
Yeah, you don't really particularly enjoy placing your pieces in such horrible... He played bishop a8 to go queen c8, I guess, which is maybe a slightly more harmonious...
Still takes a very long time till this bishop sees any daylight. However, without knights, it's not so easy to create inroads into the black position. Like, I'm not sure if you really want to go for f4, g4, f5. It's very double-edged.
Yeah.
My money's on Fabi holding this.
And Magnus actually goes for the plan I mentioned, without rook g8, bishop g2, which was kind of ridiculous because it just gave white tempi, but he goes king c5 straight away, and you do get the feeling that this will get sharp, and Black probably is the side playing for a win here, because the a2 pawn will fall. Sure. The a2 pawn will fall. You might even include b5 before taking on a2 to make sure the pawn doesn't escape very far. And you know, with the king on g1, it's still it's still not a very pleasant position to be playing for white here.
Absolutely.
The difference in king's activity here is stark.
Stark. Interesting choice of words. Where do we go? Let's go to Vesco.
Vesco is in trouble, I think. Knight e6 is a very possible move here. Also, immediate h5 might be half decent.
You didn't do any of my bailout ideas. Probably didn't think it was that critical.
But yeah, if you have to play 92, you don't feel particularly happy about your situation.
Pieces are strange. The rook on d4 is...
Yeah, g5, e5, knight h5, knight had to return to f3, and you can take on e5 here if you want, but it feels like it makes white's life maybe slightly easier, but I think MVL will just take on e5. There he goes. It is a full pawn, so really hard to criticize this choice. Rook e1, I guess, to trade some more pieces, but the problem is, if white had a knight on d4 instead of a rook, he would have decent compensation for the pawn, but after all these exchanges, knight e6 followed by d5, d4, I think is very hard to stop. And then the bishop on b7 becomes very active, and yeah, queen d1, knight e6, and you have to place your rook on a poor square again, and
can just get...
And then d4, you might get just completely rolled over here, yeah.
Yeah, things aren't going well for the Bulgarian #1. Former world champion Veselin Topalov struggling here. Anish Giri is not struggling, but is he creating any winning chances?
I don't think so. I have a feeling that they actually kind of agree on the assessment of the position they were both heading towards, and Anish will continue playing because he's currently slightly more active, but with the black pawns on the queen side, not weak at all. It's very hard to imagine how he's going to win this.
Looks like a draw, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
black plays h5 to secure
You go h5.
Yeah, to secure the bishop on f5, and then you play rook a e8 and you pass forever.
It's equal.
There aren't really any weaknesses for white to exploit, so I think it's very difficult to create any kind of serious winning chances or non-serious either.
Let's go back to Frest. That seems like the most exciting position that we currently have available to us. Even though it has no queens, it does have drama, intrigue.
I like black here. You probably want to start attacking the black pawns somehow, but you know...
It's so easy.
No, I wanted knight c4, knight d6, but yeah, I don't know.
Can go rook d8.
Yeah, he started with b4, which is also sensible to at least, you know, make black work for...
I like to fix them, but then knight b3, knight c5 maybe.
Yeah, king c3 is playable.
I'm reluctant to give you this guy, but probably shouldn't be. What has Magnus done? Rook g8, he throws in a check.
If bishop g2, then I guess king d3 might be very annoying.
Yeah, the knight can't go anywhere good. So
king h1 has been played, I guess, for that reason, and then this inclusion makes a lot of sense, of course, for black too. Rook g4 becomes a move, for instance, here.
Yeah.
Rook g4 is a very decent move here, actually, because after f5 you can play king c3, and the knight has to go to very poor squares, like knight f3, rook f4. It feels like black should win this quite easily, actually.
So I'm pretty sure Magnus blundered, but he made a virtue out of it, found the best setup, and looks still poised to probably win this. King h1. What else can we do after rook g4? Not that much, really. Bishop g2, you just go, I don't know, b6 or b5, or do you want to take? Both look possible.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's
this caveman approach.
This should also be quite good, actually, because still there are really no good squares for this knight. Knight f3 check, king e3 looks very strong.
Yeah, it looks almost hopeless. Sometimes it happens when the rook gets activated against knight and bishop that can just dominate the scenery. I know, Magnus thinking, I'm sure he has other moves.
Exactly about this as I originally was. Knight d6. No, I think you don't really want to do this because I think you're minimizing your winning chances. I think rook b8 is simply stronger. Okay. Although there's bishop g2 there. No, but bishop g2, then I start taking the pawns. Rook b8, bishop g2, bishop b7. It kind of works for white because king b4 allows a fork. Maybe rook b7 wins.
Whoa.
It's not really outside the realm of possibility.
He's played rook b8.
Yeah, I have a feeling this actually might be winning for black because the knight is very, very far. You will have to give it up on a5, otherwise it queens, I think.
Yeah, I was trying to figure this out, but probably the...
And run towards the h7 pawn. Yeah, king b4, king g4, king c3, or anywhere, yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure this is winning though. King h7, king f4, king g7. Probably a draw. Looks like a draw to me. Nah, you're trying to lose this now, right?
I think I'll make a draw.
Yeah, you still hold, but so I think bishop g2 is the critical try here for Fres, and I wonder what Magnus is planning against it. There are all kinds of options. You can play b5 maybe. Bishop g2, b5, knight a6, rook b6, and then king takes a3. Looks interesting.
Good.
And Fres played a4. I'm not sure driving these pawns towards the black pieces is such a sensible idea. King c3, for instance, b5, king b4. you really need to justify it tactically somehow. Magnus started with king a3, but I think it's headed towards the same position. Yeah, b5 a5 is also a consideration actually, but then maybe b6 is half decent. 97, 97, and bishop b5.
Ah, I missed bishop b5. Then you found a good construction. So let's go king b4.
In the meantime, the game between Geary and Wesley finished in a draw. So we won't return to that. It was a bit of a damp squib.
Doozy.
And here,
I don't see anything.
you can play knight d7. Or actually, you could play knight d3 and ba6. Yeah, maybe this is the way to go.
I was wondering b5 might
b5 bishop
lose,
g2.
bishop g2.
Yeah, b5 bishop g2 might be inadvisable.
Takes knight c5, similar to what we've seen earlier.
King a5.
Somewhere.
King a5 actually wins.
I can't take.
Wins material, and we need to count tempi once again. But this looks like this is.
Take? Rook b1 check.
Rook b1, king g2, king b6, king b6, bishop d3, rook d1, bishop. Yeah, very curious. Bishop e2, rook d2, knight a4 check, king a5, knight c3, rook c2. I can't find a way to hold this actually. Bishop c2 is, maybe bishop c2 is stronger.
Rook c1.
Check from d7. Rook a4, bishop a4, rook c4.
No.
Yeah, also that doesn't feel like this is that great. Yeah, I can take f6 and h7, but I'm probably losing in the long run.
Yeah.
Very hard to imagine.
King is too close.
Yeah, the king is too close to the pawns.
No, still work to do, but
curious endgame. I'm trying to. Yeah, Magnus has more than 10 minutes left, so there are no time issues for the time being.
No, he's gonna. I don't know. It's always easy to say he's gonna win because he is the world champion. If he was white, might say he's gonna hold somehow, but it does feel very unpleasant.
Yeah,
it's just the difference in king activity is deciding.
Sure, let's have a look at the other two games going on.
Which one? Vesely and Topalov is struggling Topalov against MVL. This game is over.
Yeah, this is...
Caro is...
He's still
trying to milk it, but...
Yeah, he's still trying to make some kind of a progress in that position. He is definitely the one pushing, but I can't really see how he's going to win.
No, I think you've said everything. The queen has to stay on c3, but then
no, queen e5 is very, very critical here. This is the variation I think that they are trying to calculate. But I think queen d7, queen d1 is the issue. Rook e7, queen d1, creating a threat of both bishop, queen b3, and importantly queen takes g4, which is what I missed originally. This is still a draw, but black is under no real threat.
He's gone to e4 instead, hoping Levon blunders the a6 pawn. Can't blame him for trying.
Is c3 a move here? He probably wants to go rook e7, I guess, because this c2 is coming next, and you probably don't want to do this with white. But he probably wants to go rook e7 and ask black if he has a good square for this queen. Queen b6 though. Queen c2 looks required, but this is not a way to play for a win. I think it's, once black actually destroys some part of white's king cover, it is black who will be the more interested side. Queen c6 here, start giving checks. This is incredibly risky for white suddenly.
Can't do that.
So c3 becomes, very much part of the agenda here.
What's his
Maybe
idea?
he wants to just take on c3. Because if you take on c3, in reply, rook a6 and queen f4 wins, I think. King c8, rook a8, and I can pick up more material here. Take queen b8 check, for instance. Or queen a4 maybe wins as well.
Yeah.
So maybe c3, bc3 is his idea, and if rook d2, king bravely goes forward, and there are no checks, and then white will start giving checks.
Yeah.
Curious position. There's still a lot of it's a deceptively difficult position to assess.
No, Lev obviously calculating all the stuff. Very hard. Looks very focused.
Yeah, what's the... Can you figure out the time situation?
Might take me a while, but I can probably figure it out. Maybe not.
And the issue for black is that if he goes, let's say, king a7, after rook e7 he might have to allow some undesirable trades.
They both have plenty time, 8 minutes each, so not really a lot of time trouble.
But there are some chess issues for Lev to solve here, because this is not a very simple position to play. And we are seemingly headed towards what we just discussed in Freyssinet-Carlsen, if Carlsen takes on a4, which he's not obliged to do. He could also play something like king a5, but it doesn't feel right somehow. I don't know.
King a5 you take, right?
I take and I go knight c5, and it feels like it's, yeah, it's the same-ish type of position, but with the pawn on a5 still, a4 still alive, which shouldn't be good for white.
No, take this dude. This is forced.
Take
is
this
forced.
as well. Yeah, you need to play knight c5 check.
King a5, and we were having some fun with knight a6.
No, once again, knight a6 needs to be calculated, but it feels like white is
bishop a6, right?
Yeah, knight a6 is also a move, because after rook b1, king g2, we get the same kind of a raise, but I think white is one tempo short here.
Here
king g2, king b5, or maybe it's the same position, no? King h3, king c4. No, it's one tempo short.
Here we're too slow.
Yeah, I think this is one tempo short, and it should be enough for black to win, I guess, yeah. But is it?
No. King f3, but I
King
can't
f3
take.
is a draw. King f3 is a... Is it? Ah, yeah.
No, king f3, just king g7, no?
And the h-pawn runs, yeah. Might be enough even here, surprisingly, despite a full tempo down. He goes king a5. I think he finally came to the conclusion that he's not winning there. But now ba6, maybe he wants to take with the king, but this is very slow. And it also gives white a very nice...
Quite some stability, no?
No, this
b5.
this cannot
White
be
is
right.
better also.
Yeah, you can't do that. So ba, and what does he want to do after knight c5 there?
No, rook c8.
But we can take on a6, I think. I mean, the knight is stuck though, but just king takes a4 and play. But the problem is, you more or less can never actually take it.
No, you never win the pawn ending, and you also can't take anything here.
Yeah.
This looks like a draw somehow.
This looks like it might be a fortress, because in order to keep this knight jailed, so to speak, you need to commit both of your pieces to restricting it, and...
Fresco's knight c5 immediately, which is also interesting.
Yeah, because it stops rook c8. It's a interesting, yeah, we kind of ignored this...
Because now AB bishop b5 and we get our dream setup.
Yeah, this is suddenly very good.
So Magnus bungling this, or does he have to repeat moves with king b4?
Well, bungling this implies that he missed something and had something better to play, which we don't know for sure, but...
No, sure, but here, if he didn't have king b4, I'm starting to think he might be worse. But
no, but of course he has king b4.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he's not running any risks, but it does feel like Fres found a very nice defensive setup, and it's not that easy to shift. Maybe Magnus will have to switch to...
No, he's gonna try this to take.
Yeah, because black is also never in any trouble whatsoever. So, what's happening in Kramnik-Korona?
Not much.
And this is a tremendously ugly position for black. But once again, with knights on, it's probably lost. But without knights, I mean, the plan is to play g4 and give mate. Maybe you can just start doing it immediately. Yeah, just go g4 here. Yeah. He played bishop e4 instead, but I think the plan remains the same.
No, the plan is to take on h5.
Yeah, that's you can't really call that the plan.
That's the amount of time I'm willing to plan.
King g8, I think, is more or less an obligatory move here. You can play queen f3 if you want. Should force the rook to go to c8. Yeah,
He's done all these things.
Yeah, but f5 is now a threat, so you actually need to...
Well, you can go here or whatnot.
Sure. This is...
It's not looking pleasant.
It's painful to look at, and also there's always a possibility for white to just go rook a1 and open a second.
One day there will be some tactic. A4 takes b5, and something's gonna hang.
Yeah, it's a tremendously ugly position for Fabiano to try and hold.
Yeah, and Kramnik, he doesn't hate these types of positions.
No, he also doesn't do badly at them. I wanted to use a shorter expression, but maybe it's a family stream.
He doesn't bungle them?
Fres took with a bishop. We thought this wasn't possible.
No, we were trying to figure out this rook b1 thing. We might have blundered knight b3 check.
He didn't go there. No. We were not playing rook c1. We were playing king b6. This is kind of the point.
Sure.
No, I think they both completely misjudged this because Magnus shook his head and played rook b4, and now it has to be a draw, I think. Even f5.
Yeah, we missed something here.
Rook d1? What did we miss? No, I think we were right on this. No, maybe knight a4, knight b2.
There's many jumps.
Yeah, no, knight a4, knight b2, I guess is what we missed. Oh, you're trying to force me to play knight b2 when knight is not hanging, right?
You said knight b2.
Okay, bishop takes h7 then. No, yeah, that was what I was talking about. Okay, so no, but here, even if you're forced to play something like bishop b2, rook f4, king g2, I feel you're probably not losing it. And
really?
Yeah, I really think this probably isn't that bad for white. There should be enough counterplay. With the king already on a7, I'd be worried, but with the king on a5, I think we will be in time to create some counterplay as white. But also f4, f5 currently.
He's played bishop d3.
He has played bishop d3. I think maybe he wants to go on. I think he wants to take on h7 actually.
Really?
Yeah, rook f2, bishop g8.
You have bishop g8.
Yeah, okay. No, obviously not with the intention of giving up on f2 and doing nothing. And Magnus plays f5. Magnus realizes this, so, but the pawn on f4 still falls. But you can go like king g2, rook f4. Problem is you can't really play any of the moves you want to play. 97 rook, but you can. 95 here, you threaten forks. Rook d5, knight c4 check. It's kind of awkward. I'm not sure. I think a 4 f5 was a better try if it was a legal move, but maybe it wasn't.
I'd still be extremely scared here. Okay, so you go, I don't know, king g3 or something?
Rook d4.
No. You can give a check.
I actually don't like d3 as a square for the bishop. I think maybe he misjudged f5. I liked starting with bishop b2 because on d3 it hangs currently and it takes away some of the squares from our knight.
Yeah, so Magnus still with chances.
Absolutely. But
Vesco still lost.
Yeah, we assume so. Although requires some precision here, but it does feel like this should be lost because knight d6, bishop a2 though, and knight b1 is a threat. But bishop d3, I guess. Bishop d3 should be sufficient. Someone pointed out on Twitter that MVL has a tremendous score with black in this tournament. This creates no threat, so you don't even need to do this because bishop takes c2 was not really threatened.
Yeah, just entertaining myself.
Yeah, bishop d7 followed by bishop e6, I think, is the way to go here. So knight d4.
Just winning.
Yeah, knight d4, knight c2 is also enough. Bring the bishop to e6 and then just convert carefully.
Yeah. MVL's gonna win. Vesseline not enjoying himself greatly. Maybe he's enjoying himself in Paris. I've seen some pictures with him wearing cool sunglasses, checking out the Arc de Triomphe or whatever it was. But over the board, things aren't going great. He's bringing the king, but it's still a long way to go.
Yeah, it feels a bit slow.
And even if you bring it, like, there's going to be targets over here.
Yeah, no, it's the best move in the position. He recognizes that he can't actually attack the a3 pawn efficiently, and the pieces are currently maybe in the best possible positions, preventing the knight from landing on b3 and the knight on e6 actually.
Time to jump.
Knight c5, king f2, knight a4. I have to play knight e4, and then bishop d3 wins, right? Maybe. Very possibly it's just winning by force here. Knight c5, bishop a2, I guess, to stop this. Knight b1? No, you don't.
Oh, no.
This is
now
what.
I messed it up.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
this is something you. But knight d3 probably wins.
Same trick.
No, yeah, the bishop is hanging. So still some care required from black as usual.
You can go here, but then we're not in time anymore to do all this nonsense. Yep.
Bishop f5. Bishop b6.
Oh, hang on.
Should probably
still.
probably be enough, I guess. You can play knight c4, bishop b6, king e3, and pretend, but
Pretend what?
these positions generally don't end well for knight a6 or something.
Oh, a6.
Knight a6 is because here you maybe can find.
Doesn't look terribly.
No, knight c7 is what MVL settled on, I guess, trying to. Yeah, bishop a to bishop d7. I guess he wants to have knight b5 as a backup plan, and he will bring the bishop to e6, and that should conclude the proceedings here. Yeah, once black securely protects the a3 pawn and brings the bishop to e6, yeah, the game more or less ends. So.
King f2 on the board, bishop e6 is going to have to take, I guess.
F3, yeah, that's not very difficult to win. Bring the king in. You have even two passers to drag whites white apart here.
He's going to win. Vladimir Kramnik still has work to do, but also an overwhelming position. He somehow brought his rook to a6.
No, actually, I think this is kind of game over because the second one lands on a3 and then the pawn on a7 might fall. Maybe black is in time with queen of 87, but I'm not sure. There's bishop d6. No, c6 is hanging currently. You can't do this. You need to deal with the fact that c6 is hanging. And now I go rook d3. And after queen f8, I will play rook, bishop d6 first, and then I will play rook a3. And once
It's too ugly to even look at.
Yeah,
you don't see Fabi getting outplayed like that very often.
Yeah, but Vlad is the
Yeah, he's not bad.
the recognized
Fabi kryptonite?
No, what I meant is
kryptonite.
I'm not surprised it's Vlad on the white side.
Yeah,
having such a pleasant position is what I'm trying to say.
I'm screwing around with a4, b5, but even such a thing should win at some point.
You could do that, but I don't think it's required necessarily.
No.
I think you can avoid that. You don't need this.
So, looks like Kramnik's going to win, looks like MVL's going to win, looks like Magnus Carlsen might win. That is still the most unresolved one. In the Nakamura-Aronian, Nakamura managed to get an rook and an extra pawn. This could be trouble, no? This pawn is quite far advanced.
No, I think this has to be objectively lost. Even rook e7, f7 followed by g6 and bring the king in.
Yeah.
Looks like a very strong plan.
No.
Just start with this immediately. Go rook e7 and... Yeah, MVL wins. There was a handshake.
The resignation.
There was a handshake in that game.
Fabi is, not thrilled. Veselin is leaving the scene. There we have a headshot.
Yeah.
And Hikaru managed. What happened in this position?
After queen e4, Lev spent quite some time here and gave up the a6 pawn with check for whatever reason, which...
I told you he's hoping he blunders the a6 pawn. I think you calculate all kinds of things and then you forget about the a6 pawn.
I rather doubt this is what happened, but who knows, yeah. And then c3 happened, but white managed to swap these off, and king b3, rook c1 is currently on the board, which is also useful to bring the king in for one tempo. And although I would have played rook f4 instead of rook c1, yeah, now g6, you kind of need to start playing rook f1 straight away, but then the king just starts running, right? Yeah, no, this looks horrible.
Yeah, Levon's losing. Let's go back to Mr. Magnus.
Yeah, Fres found some kind of a attempt of a fortress. He keeps the knight on h4 for as long as possible to prevent black from ever landing the e6, e5 break. And when the king gets close, he gives checks. But he might run out of moves, like bishop f3 check, king f1, I guess. I'm not sure if it's a great idea, but if black lands the rook b3 here, white will run out of moves. So something needs to be done about this. Yeah, like something like this, followed by rook b3, followed by hopefully e6, e5. Yeah, king f1 has been played. You need to sort of take squares away from white's pieces here, because otherwise his setup is rather stable.
I think it's just losing.
Yeah, maybe. When I was saying that I think this position originally should be holdable, I meant white should have enough activity somewhere. Once this endgame with 4 against 2 appears on the board, the king was on a5, it wasn't on g1. And I thought white should have enough time to create some kind of threats against the black king side. And then he should hold. But of course, if black manages to activate his pieces to this extent.
This is on the board, bishop e2.
But now I guess rook b3, king f3, e5 just picks up material. No?
Yeah.
Bishop c4 there.
It takes bishop c4.
e5 bishop.
This, can't I take?
Yeah, you can bishop c4 and go back. Yeah, and you.
Pawn is a pawn. I won't get checkmated. I just
you
weasel my way out.
You improved your position drastically here. Yeah, because e5 bishop c4 is actually not that clear. Not that clear.
Clear Danes.
Yeah.
Just take it.
Yeah, I think king h2 is maybe the simplest way to go about things here.
Magnus is weighing his options. King h2 looks good enough.
Yeah, feels efficient enough. You pick up.
He's pretending to go e5 though. His hand is over the e-pawn. Also, yeah, e5 bishop c4. What's?
I want to go bishop e6 next. No, yeah, king e2. I'm not sure you really need this because the f5 pawn will fall, and then white will have some counterplay because the pawns will get somewhat disjointed. King e1. Yeah, maybe, but bishop e6. I'm not sure you need this, is my point. Probably still winning, rook f4, bishop f5, h5 or something. But
feels winning, for sure.
But you could take on h2 and then sort of switch back to this plan later in the game, so I don't know if you absolutely had to.
Well, there's also other moves here, like it just feels like the rook is quite dominant. This feels wrong, I admit, but even here I'm not sure what it's doing.
Yeah, he went rook b2 after bishop c4.
Stuff.
Hang on. This is very clever. fe5, fe5, knight f5. He wins the piece by rook f2, rook f4, which is very cute. How happy are we about this? h4?
That's what I was wondering.
But Fres decided to do something else altogether. He took on f5 immediately and went king g3. I guess rook takes f4 and bishop e6. And he's established a new level of defense, which is, yeah, it feels a bit messy.
Looks like Magnus drifting a bit. And this is also a move, I'm not sure. King g4, king h2.
Bishop d5 on knight h4. It feels like you're misplaying it.
Yeah, they managed to get some stability.
Yeah, h5, but h5, but you're not progressing very far. f3, king g4 wins both pawns. So yeah, it doesn't feel like the cleanest solution. It might still be enough, and Magnus is obviously very, very good at this, but I probably would have preferred to pick up the h2 pawn first and then proceed from there.
Always take the pawn.
Yeah.
So what's going on here?
No,
maybe this is still just winning now.
How?
Yeah, I don't know. Look somewhere.
Let's say I go h4, 94. I don't know. Bishop g4. Yeah, possibly. Possibly, yeah. It's still very, very difficult for white, but
yeah, you gotta find a win, but I have a feeling it should be there.
Sure. Let's briefly revisit the other games. Vladimir.
Are we suffering?
Yeah, Vladimir broke in, and he actually had to sacrifice a bishop apparently, but it doesn't seem like it will impact the result very much because.
Oops, sorry, that's not Fabi.
Yeah, this is
Fabi.
Yeah, this is the current position, and it feels like you can't really protect the bishop on c6 here. He played queen h6 though, which may have been missed by. No, but you can play. Let's put queen h6 on the board. It's a very beautiful move. But rook a8. No, hang on. So rook 8, bishop 8. Sorry. Rook c8 is possible, followed by rook a7 check, but I'm not sure if this... Yeah, rook c8 has been played. He'll probably play something like king... I don't know if it matters where you put your king. He played king h7, I think, judging by the hand movements. Rook a7, you play rook d7, and then rook h8 check. So, no, king g7 is what he played, but... Yeah, that's better, because then after rook g8 you will not lose your entire board, but... It's still the same. I take on d7 first. And then I go rook g8 check. Yeah. Resigns. Which is why he played bishop d7 instead, after rook a7 check. Now, Fabi is, as we all know, incredibly tenacious.
Tenacious D.
But rook g8 probably still wins, yeah. Takes, rook f2, and I can play more or less any move, king g1, king h3, it doesn't matter, because I'm the one giving the first check here. Rook a8 is mate in 3, 4, whatever, but it's mate.
Kara Nakamura having a chat with Levon Aronian, that game is over. Let's see.
Hikaru won, so he continues putting up maximum pressure on Magnus Carlsen. They were tied for first before this round, right?
Correct.
So Hikaru is at least tied for first after this round as well, depending on how Magnus does against Loran. We haven't visited that game in a while. Vladimir seemingly is completely winning against Fabiano, so the Fressinet-Carlsen game is the only one still alive, potentially.
Here we are, something similar to what we've looked at, but the construction is still holding. King f2?
Bishop d5?
Yeah.
I don't see it immediately.
Fabi just resigned.
Yeah, Fabi resigned as expected. I guess, hang on, but this actually feels like... I didn't play I played knight d4, which was actually a huge mistake, and Fress is doing it much better than I was when we were discussing this position, right? Because king f2, bishop d5 seemingly is very good for white.
Very good as a stretch, but it's probably
he played rook a3, but now after king f4 is he even better?
He's bungled it.
Oh, yeah, he needs to pay attention not to lose this position actually now, I think.
He's bungled it. Let's switch to the lone guys on stage.
Yeah, we should.
Rook a4.
Rook a4 knight e3. He really might lose this now.
No, it might, yeah. Might be lost. Wow.
It could very easily be lost now, I think.
This is a dream setup for white.
Yeah, knight e3 is not even forced. You can play bishop d5, picking up the e-pawn immediately, but I think...
I like knight e3.
Yeah, I like knight e3.
5, knight g4.
Yeah, he's played bishop d5. Magnus will play e3. No, hang on. He should play king f2, and after bishop takes e4, white is a bit stuck, but... Not a lot stuck, frankly.
Still do this.
He could still switch to this plan, but here there's a 5.
5 is annoying. Yeah.
Here there's a 5.
He's played king g2.
Play king g2, to which I think we use...
Trying to provoke him to take.
Yeah, he has taken... Yeah, I think knight e3 bishop f5 was cleaner, because it attacked the h7 pawn faster. King h3, I guess you play h6 to make sure this is...
Is this a draw?
Probably is.
Looks like a draw.
Yeah, looks like an immediate draw actually. Magnus will not miss this.
But I still don't think you're winning.
Hang on. Yeah, this is... But king g6, king f7 actually wins the knight.
I was playing knight e7. We probably take on e7 then?
Yeah, and Magnus has taken on e4. So I think Fress should consider himself more lucky than unlucky that he hasn't lost this. But I think for a very brief moment there, he was very much in the running to win this game.
Yeah, the game is over. Draw agreed. Or I guess draw agreed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was uncharacteristic lack of conversion by Magnus Carlsen. I'm not sure if it was mathematically winning somewhere around here, but it feels like Magnus missed a lot of chances.
mainly we felt that...
Take the pawn, come on.
Yeah, just pick up additional material and continue converting from there. Yeah, that felt like by far the most efficient option.
Yeah. So, round number 8 is over. We still have one more round to come today. The usual apologies for the small technical hiccups. We're gonna be back with the final round of the day in a bit. At the moment we have the Hikaru Nakamura stealing the lead from...
Hikaru is the sole leader now with whatever it is, 12 out of 16. 12 out of 16. Magnus is on 11 out of 16. And MVL and Vladimir Kramnik are trailing a further point behind on 10 out of 16, as you will hopefully see in a moment once Jan does his usual seamless magic with screen capture.
Oh, you do it next. We start criticizing. Can take the head technician's job anytime.
Which of the words I used were
critical? I
critical?
could tell by the tone. Anyway, who's last? Fresk got a draw. He went away from these guys who have been losing
in
more
particular
games than...
Yeah, in particular, what's happening to Fabiano is very, very surprising. He started off by winning a very nice game in round 1 and then drew, I think, comfortably in round 2. And in the next 6 rounds, he scored half a point.
As I said, I blame Lawrence Trent. I don't know what happened, but it is Lawrence's fault. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We'll be back with the final round of the day in a couple minutes. See you then.